Zhetysu is a historical name of a part of Central Asia, corresponding to the southeastern part of modern Kazakhstan. It owes its name, meaning seven rivers in Kazakh, to the rivers which flow from the southeast into Lake Balkhash. When the region was incorporated into the Russian Empire in the 19th century, it became known in Russian as Semirec'e, which is a Russian calque of the Kazakh Zhetysu. The name has also been transcribed as Semirechiye, Semireche, Semirechiye, Semirechiye, Semirechensk, Semireche. Zhetysu falls into today's Almaty province, which is part of Kazakhstan. However, the Semirec'e Oblast, as an administrative unit of the Russian Empire, included not only Zhetysu proper but also lands that now constitute parts of northern Kyrgyzstan and adjacent provinces of Kazakhstan as well. Geography. The lands of the 19th century Semirech'e Oblast included the steppes south of Lake Balkhash and parts of the Tian Shan Mountains around Lake Balkhash. The province had an area of 147,300 square kilometers, and was bounded by the province of Semipalatinsk on the north, by China on the east and south, and by the former Russian provinces of Fergana, Semirechye, and Akmalinsk on the west. The Dzungarian Alatau Mountains, which separated it from the Chinese region of Gulja, extend southwest towards the river Ili, with an average height of 2,700 meters above the sea, several isolated snow-clad peaks reaching 3,400 to 4,300 meters. In the south, the region embraces the intricate systems of the Alatau and the Tian Shan. Two ranges of the former, the Trans-Ili Alatau and the Tursky Alatau, stretch along the north shore of Lake Balkhash, both ranging from 3,000 to 4,600 meters and both partially snow-clad. South of the lake, two ranges of the Tian Shan, separated by the valley of the Naran, stretch in the same direction, lifting up their icy peaks to 1,800 and 2,400 meters, while westwards from the lake the precipitous slopes of the Alexander chain, 2,700 to 3,000 meters high, with peaks rising 900 to 1,200 meters high, extend into the former province of Semirechye. Another mountain complex of much lower elevation runs northwestwards from the Trans-Ili Alatau towards the southern extremity of Lake Balkhash. In the north, where the province bordered Semipalatinsk, it included the western parts of the Tarbagatai range, the summits of which do not reach the limit of perpetual snow. The remainder of the province consisted of a fertile steppe in the northeast, and vast uninhabitable sand steppes on the south of Lake Balkhash. Southwards from these, at the foot of the mountains and at the entrance to the valleys, there are rich areas of fertile land. Climate. The climate in Zhetysu is thoroughly continental. In the Balkhash steppes the winter is very cold. The lake freezes every year, with temperatures falling to -11 degrees Celsius. In the Balkhash steppes the winds blow away the snow. The passage from winter to spring is very abrupt, and the steppes are rapidly clothed with vegetation, which, however, is soon scorched by the sun. The average temperatures are, at Almaty, for the year 8 degrees Celsius, for January -8 degrees Celsius, for July 23 degrees Celsius, at Przevozh, for the year 2.5 degrees Celsius, for January -5 degrees Celsius, for July 17 degrees Celsius. Still higher in the mountains, at Naran, the average temperatures are only, for the year 6.5 degrees Celsius, for January -17 degrees Celsius, for July 18 degrees Celsius. Bodies of water. The most important river is the Ili, which enters Zhetysu from the Tian Shan Mountains of China's Ili Kazakh Autonomous Prefecture in northern Xinjiang. and drains it for 250 kilometers before it enters Lake Balkhash. The Chu River also rises in the Tian Shan Mountains and flows northwestwards through the former Akmalinsk province of the Governor-Generalship of the Steppes. The Naran River flows southwestwards along a longitudinal valley of the Tian Shan and enters the Fergana Valley to join the Darya. The major lakes of the area include Lake Balkhash and Lake Calque, which was connected with Balkhash in the post-Pliocene period but now stands some 100 feet higher, connected by a chain of smaller lakes with Sisica-ul, Lake Isica-ul, and the alpine lakes of Sunca-ul and Chattaka-ul. History. Population. The population was estimated in 1906 as 1,080,700. Kazakhs formed 76% of the population, Russians 14%, Tarashi 5.7%. Administration and history. The area belonged to Dzunga Khanate in the 17th century. When Dzunga Khanate was eliminated by King China in 1755, the area formed part of empire and was under the direct rule by General Uvayli, headquartered at the fort of Huiyuan, 30 kilometers west of Gulia. Most of Zhetysu was annexed by the Russian Empire from King China in 1854. Before the outbreak of the Crimean War, which delayed the southern advance, the two major Russian fortresses and garrisons in the region, Verny and Pishpek, were founded in 1854 on the sites of former Kokhandian fortresses on the steppe frontier. The Semirec'e Cossack host was created in 1867 as a branch of the Siberian Cossack host. From 1867 to 1884 this province was made part of Russian Turkestan, and from then until 1899 it was incorporated in the Governor-Generalship of the Steppes before reverting to Russian Turkestan that year. The province was divided into 6 districts, the chief towns of which were Verny, Jarkent, Kopel, Pishpek, Przhevolsk and Sergiopol. Before the Russian Revolution the chief occupation of the Russians, the Taranchis and the Dzungas, and partly also of the Kazakhs of the region, was agriculture. The most important crops were wheat, barley, oats, millet, rice and potatoes. A variety of oil-bearing plants and green fodder, as also cotton, hemp, flax and poppies, were grown. Livestock breeding was very extensively carried on by the Kazakhs, namely horses, cattle, sheep, camels, goats and pigs. Orchards and fruit gardens were well developed, and the Russian Imperial Crown maintained 2 model gardens. Beekeeping was widely spread. The factories consisted of flour mills, distilleries, tanneries and tobacco works, but a great many domestic trades, including carpet weaving and the making of felt goods, saddlery and iron goods, were carried on. Among both the settled inhabitants and the nomadic Kazakhs, there was also trade with China, valued at less than $500,000 sterling annually in 1911. From 1905, after the Russian-Japanese War and the construction of the Trans-Aral Railway, the settlement of Russian people in the area increased greatly under the guidance of the new Migration Department in St. Petersburg. The province was administered by vassal Balabanov under General Alexander Dutov until the Bolshevik takeover in 1921, when both Dutov and Balabanov escaped to China. After the Central Asian Revolt of 1916 and the Russian Revolution of 1917, the provisional government's authority in the region collapsed. Approximately 2,500 Russian settlers are thought to have been killed by the Kazakhs in the violence that followed in Zhetysu, and this was followed by equally bloody reprisals against the nomadic population. led by the workers and AMP soldiers Soviets in Tashkent and Verny. Bolshevik control was reimposed in 1918–21 in a series of campaigns led by Mikhail Frunze, after whom the town of Pishpek in Zhetysu was renamed. In 1924, Zhetysu was incorporated in the southern portion of the new Kazakh SSR by the new Soviet Union, and, in 1931, this was made a full Soviet republic and nominally independent of Russia. In 1936 the Kyrgyz ASSR, which incorporated the southern portion of Zhetysu, also became a Soviet republic. In late 1991, both republics declared their independence from the Soviet Union, forming the new nations of Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan respectively. Derived names: the Semirechensk pig and the Semirechensk salamander are named after the region.